Lawmakers can't seem to agree on much of anything, and critics say the president is an ever-changing chameleon when it comes to policies on important issues, including what to do about immigration and what's next for those dreamers. Welcome to The Spectrum. I'm Colleen Marshall. On Capitol Hill, much of this week was devoted to trying to reach agreement on spending for defense and dealing with immigration. And Ohio lawmakers tell me behind the scenes trying to figure out the ever-changing policies of President Trump. 11th hour meetings between Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and the White House, but insiders in Washington say even when there seems to be progress in deals between Democrats and the White House on key policy issues, there are fears the president will simply switch gears and tweet something completely different. Republicans fear that too.
You know, sometimes you do have kind of ups and downs, and sometimes one person says one thing in the administration, maybe the president, and other people say other things, and of course it gets frustrating. But at the end of the day, I do think in this case, and it certainly was the case with the tax reform bill and with a lot of the other issues like opioids, they do want to come to a solution. The White House does want to come to a solution.
I think we're in unprecedented times. We're in a time where we have a White House. We have a president who is unhinged. He's unpresidential. 1 week, he's working towards a compromise. He's inviting Democrats and Republicans to come together. And in the middle of the meeting, he goes to the left and then to the right. I think he's a rebel without a clue.
Even Republican lawmakers are frustrated with President Trump's ever-changing positions on key policy matters. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham calling it an S show. Frustrated that he and Democrat Dick Durbin worked out a compromise on DACA that the president then rejected. And Democrats say with the GOP controlling Congress and the White House, they are swimming upstream.
It's very frustrating to us. You know, I came to Congress to be a voice for the voiceless. I came to Congress to be a bridge builder, somebody who wants to sit down and make sure that we're doing the right things for all of the people in this wonderful country we live in. But it's very difficult now when you have people who are only doing partisan politics, or you have people who know what's the right thing to do, but then they're influenced because a president bullies them or threatens them. It's not a good time, but we're not giving up. I'm still going to fight and be a voice for what's right.
But Senator Portman says there is more bipartisan agreement on issues like DACA and overall immigration than most people realize. But the budget process itself is flawed.
It makes no sense, and what we should be doing instead is going through the process of passing the appropriations bills. 10 of them came out of committees in the Senate last year. 10 out of the 12, but they were not able to come to the floor because you need 60 votes to get to the floor, and the notion was until you have a broad universal agreement on all the spending, you couldn't do individual spending bills. My strong feeling is you go ahead with the individual spending bills, which have not just spending in them, but policy changes year to year. All of them were bipartisan, all of them came out of committee, and then at the end of the process, yeah, you have to figure out what the overall spending is, you can make adjustments. But let's do our work. And, you know, frankly, Colleen, this has, over the last 20 years, been a problem.
Portman also favors a 2-year budget and is sponsoring a bill that he says would end government shutdowns.
And the legislation is very simple. It says that you simply continue the spending from the previous year if you can't reach agreement on all the appropriations bills, but that spending is slightly reduced over time until you get your act together and pass the spending bills. That would provide an incentive for passing the spending bills, but also would take away this fear of government shutdown, which I don't think makes sense.
Portman and Beatty are both calling for bipartisan cooperation and a unified effort to move the budget forward and find protections for the dreamers.
That we support dreamers. We know that President Obama put DACA in place, and we know it's something that we should come to an agreement on. But I can tell you one thing, with this White House, it's a day-to-day and sometimes an afternoon-to-afternoon process of him saying one thing and then doing another. Republicans need to get on board and stand up for what's right.